Internal Revenue Service IRS tax news. Last round of ITINs, ITINs, will expire in 2020. IRS encourages early renewal to prevent refund delays. IRS YouTube videos, individual tax identification number ITIN for Spanish and English available for YouTubes. There's links to those items here. There'll be a link to this in the description. IR 2020-181, August 17th, 2020, Washington. More than 1 million individual taxpayer identification numbers are set to expire at the end of 2020 as the Internal Revenue Service completes the expiration of ITINs, ITINs, assigned prior to 2013. The IRS continues to urge affected taxpayers to submit their renewal applications early to avoid refund delays next year. Under the Protecting Americans from Tax Hikes, PATH Act, ITINs, ITINs, that have not been used on a federal tax return at least once in the last 3 consecutive years and those issued before 2013 will expire. This year, ITINs with middle digits 88 will expire December 31st, 2020. Additionally, ITINs with middle digits 90, 91, 92, 94, 95, 96, 98, 97, or 99 that are assigned before 2013 and have not already been renewed will also expire at the end of the year. ITINs are issued by people who have tax filing or payment obligations under U.S. law, but who are not eligible for Social Security number. ITIN holders who have questions should visit the ITIN, there's a link to that here, information page on irs.gov and take a few minutes to understand the guidelines. The IRS continues a nationwide education effort to share information with ITIN holders. To help taxpayers, the IRS offers a variety of informational materials. There's a link to a PDF of those informational materials here, including flyers and fact sheets available in up to 7 languages, including English, Spanish, Chinese, Russian, Vietnamese, Korean, Haitian, Creole, on the irs.gov website. Who should renew an ITIN? Taxpayers whose ITIN is expiring and who expect to have filing requirements in 2021 must submit a renewal applications. Others do not need to take any action. ITINs with the middle digits 88, for example, 9NN-88-NNNN, or 90, 91, 92, 94, 95, 96, 97, 98, or 99 that meet the criteria above need to be renewed even if the taxpayer has used it in the last 3 years. The IRS will begin sending the CP-48 notice. You must renew your individual taxpayer identification number, ITIN, to file your U.S. tax returns. There's a link to that here. To affected taxpayers in late summer, the notice explains that taxpayers will need to take action to renew the ITIN if it will be included on a U.S. tax return filed in 2021. Taxpayers who receive the notice after acting to renew their ITIN do not need to take further action unless another family member is affected. As a reminder, ITINs with middle digits 83 through 87 expired last year. Middle digits 73 through 77, 71, or 81, and 82 expire in 2018. Middle digits 70, 71, 72, and 80 expire in 2017, and 78 and 79 expire in 2016. Taxpayers with these ITIN numbers who expect to have a filing requirement in 2021 can renew at any time. Family option remains available. Taxpayers with an expiring ITIN have the option to renew ITINs for their entire family at the same time. Those who have received a renewal letter from the IRS can choose to renew the family ITINs together, even if family members have an ITIN with middle digits that have not been identified for expiration. Family members include the tax filer, spouse, and any dependents claimed on the tax return. How to renew an ITIN. To renew an ITIN, a taxpayer must complete a Form W-7, there's a link to that here, and submit all required documentation. The taxpayer submitting a Form W-7 to renew their ITIN are not required to attach a federal tax return. However, taxpayers must still note a reason for needing an ITIN on the Form W-7. See the Form W-7 instructions for detailed information. Spouses and dependents only need to renew their ITIN if filing an individual tax return or if they qualify for an allowable tax benefit, e.g., a dependent parent who qualifies primarily taxpayer to claim head of household filing status. So if there's someone that's going to be needed in order to claim that head of household filing status, then you may need the ITIN there as well. In these instances, a federal return must be attached to the Form W-7 renewal application. There are 3 ways to submit the Form W-7 application package. Taxpayers can mail the form along with original identification documents or copies certified by the agency that issued them to the IRS address listed on the Form W-7 instructions. There's a link to that here. The IRS will renew the identification documents and return them within 60 days. Work with certified acceptance agents, a CAA. There's a link to that item, those items here, authorized by the IRS to help taxpayers apply for an ITIN. CAAs can authenticate all identification documents for primary and secondary taxpayers, verify that an ITIN application is correct before submitting it to the IRS for processing, and authenticate the passports and birth certificates for dependents. This saves taxpayers from mailing original documents to the IRS. In advance, call and make an appointment at a designated IRS Taxpayer Assistance Center. There's a link to that here, to have each applicant's identity authenticated in person instead of mailing original identification documents to the IRS. So you can also go in, schedule an appointment, which means you don't have to mail in the documentation because they want the original documentation, which could be a nice option, so you don't have to kind of risk the documents in the mail. Each family member applying for an ITIN or renewal must be present at the appointment and must have a completed Form W-7 and required identification documents. See the TAC ITIN authentication page for more details. Avoid common errors now and prevent delays next year. Federal tax returns that are submitted in 2021 with an expired ITIN will be processed. However, certain tax credits and any exemptions will be disallowed. Taxpayers will receive a notice in the mail advising them of the change to their tax return and their need to renew their ITIN. Once the ITIN is renewed, application credits and exemptions will be restored and any refunds will be issued. Additionally, several common errors can slow down the ITIN renewal application. These mistakes generally center on mailing identification documentation without a Form W-7, missing information on the Form W-7, or insufficient supporting documentation such as U.S. residency documentation or official documentation to support name changes. The IRS urges any applicant to check over their form carefully before sending it to the IRS. As a reminder, the IRS no longer accepts passports that do not have a date of entry into the U.S. as a standalone identification document for dependents other than U.S. military personnel overseas. The dependent's passport must have a date of entry stamp, otherwise the following additional documents to provide U.S. residency are required. U.S. medical records for dependents under the age of 6, U.S. school records for dependents under the age of 18, and U.S. records if a student, rental statements, bank statements, or utility bills listing the applicant's name and U.S. address if age 18. To expand ITIN services, the IRS encourages individuals to apply for the Acceptance Agent Program to increase the availability of ITIN services nationwide, particularly in communities with high ITIN usage. The IRS continues to actively recruit certifying acceptance agents and accepting applications year-round. Interested individuals are encouraged to renew all CAA program changes and requirements, there's a link to that here, and submit an application to become a CAA. For more information, visit the ITIN information page on irs.gov.